Pump shoot short, no good, and the game is over!
Right there. That was beautiful. It was about the most beautiful thing I've heard over the last, 2.5 hours here. Because that was another rough one for your Portland Trailblazers. That's how I described Wednesday's game in the pregame show today. I was like, oh, it was rough, rough, rough. Today wasn't any better. I said, oh, man, you got to get out of the gates. You got to get out fast. If you go out and score 40 points in the first quarter, but the other team scored 55, you didn't get out of the gates fast. You scored a lot, but you got to just assert yourself. And today was eerily reminiscent to the prior game where the Blazers end the first quarter down double digits, 38-26. And then they grab the 27-24 advantage in the second quarter, and you go into the half down a handful of points, and you're like, you know what? We're right back in this, boy. We might be able to stay in this. It's only a 9-point deficit heading into the half. And then the wheels on the bus go round and round, and they all fell off at the same time because the third quarter happened, and it might have been the worst quarter of the year all the way around. 40 points for Dallas to just 16 for the Trailblazers, and it was over. There was no coming back from that. Fourth quarter didn't really matter. They kept it close there, but the third quarter did them in. Jeremy Grant, who only had 10 points in Wednesday's game, he led the team in scoring today with 18 points on 6 of 11 shooting. Duop Reith, who didn't get a flagrant 2 this time and stayed in the game, he had a decent game, 16.7 rebounds, which you do like to see from him. Scoot Henderson, 17 points, 10 assists, his fourth double-double of his career. So, I mean, I can't be too upset with his game, 7 of 15. So good shooting, good assist numbers, which you love from him. And the scoring ended up being there as well. Anthony Simons, maybe that's a key in this one, had an absolute rough outing by his and anybody else's standards. 6 points on 1 of 8 shooting. So when your best scorer doesn't score, you are in for a hurt. And then Shaedon Sharpe had a 15-point game, which is good. Off the bench for 24 points. Other than that, man, this was another one of those games. Just rough all the way around. This team cannot afford to come out slow and not score the ball. When they can't score the ball and then defense is not playing well at all, that hurts. That hurts them. And then you look at what Dallas did. Oh, yeah. Did I mention that Dallas won 139-103 and Luka Doncic didn't play? That's right. Let that one sink in. Luka Doncic didn't play? That's, oof. That one does definitely hurt everybody but Dwight Powell. 4 of the Mavs' 5 starters in double figures. Former Blazer Derrick Jones Jr. had 12. Kyrie Irving chipped in 24. Tim Hardaway does what he does off the bench with 19. A.J. Lawson had 14 off the bench. The person who scored the fewest on the Mavericks team today was Dwight Powell with 6. So everybody chipped in. Ajubaji had 0 for the Blazers. Matisse Thybulle had 0 for the Blazers. Malcolm Brogdon had 4 for the Blazers. So just a rough performance all the way around. Can't say much else about it. This is one where I think Portland is right, or excuse me, Portland is excited to get out of Dallas. That's what they wanted. That's what they wanted. You can join in the conversation. 503-248-0620 is the phone number. Or you can jump on YouTube, go to Rip City Radio, put it in the search bar. We'll pop up, and you can join the conversation there right now, where Josh says that might have actually been a worse game. And you know what? I don't think there's a might of about it. I think when you lose by 36 points to a Dallas team without a guy who's in the MVP conversation, that is Luka Doncic, that's rough. Like that is absolutely a rough performance. You can't afford to do that. Absolutely cannot. So yeah, I think it might have been a worse game. Because I think it was a worse game. No might about it. And the Blazers just need to perform better, need to come out with some sense of urgency. I don't know what it is. I know Dallas is good, but they shot almost 60% from the floor in this one, 17 of 38 from deep. Didn't get to the free throw line as much, which is good, but beat Portland on the rebounds, 52 to 42. Had the assist numbers through the roof at 35, 11 steals, 8 blocks to Portland's 3. It's just 64 points in the paint. The fast break, which I said you cannot. Yeah, you're going to die by this team in the fast break just because Luka, who didn't even play, but Luka and Kyrie, those guys are guys who have such great court vision that once the fast break starts, they're going to find their open guys. They did. 36 fast break points to just 12 for the Blazers. Now, Portland did a good job in this one keeping their fouls down, because after a monster game where the fouls did them in, and they had like 30 of them on Wednesday, and they only have 15 tonight. So that's good. That's not a silver lining, though. The largest lead of the night was 39 for the Mavericks. The largest lead of the night for Portland was just 5. This is just another tough game, man. As I said in the pregame show, in our unfortunate Coors hard facts, it was that Portland this is going to be a rough road trip, and it's not going to get any better here. Portland still has to make a stop in Brooklyn, who's not a great team, but they're not a bad team. They have to make a stop in New York against a team that just got OJ Anunoby and is trying to make some moves. They're not a bad team by any stretch of the imagination, right? And then, of course, you still have Oklahoma City and Minnesota on this bad boy, the two best teams standings-wise in the Western Conference. So I don't know what the answer is. I mean, there's not going to be a lot of wins to be had regardless, right? Like, we knew that going in, there wasn't going to be a lot of wins. But the performance overall is what's really, really the hard one to swallow. Because to go out and lose to Dallas in big ways 2 nights in a row, that's just an effort. That's an effort thing. You lost, I mean, just think about this for a second. You lost by 29 just the other night, and then you lose by 36 tonight. That's a big, big discrepancy, and you got to fix it. You absolutely have to fix it. Urgency matters to me, and I know listening to the fans in the YouTube chat and listening to the fans on social media that urgency matters too, right? Like, you want to see the team come out and just play hard. And that's what made the early part of the season so great to watch. Like, this team's playing hard. We know we're going to get this every single night, man. This is fun. Yeah, they're going to take their lumps, my word of the year, but you're going to have fun watching it because this team's going to fight. They're going to make other teams work. And they did for a long time. These 2 games against Dallas, back-to-back terrible performances. And you put that on the back of the first game against San Antonio when they played them back-to-back of terrible performances. These terrible, slow out of the gates, teams getting 20-point leads, 30-point leads are now becoming commonplace right now. And that is a tough, tough pill to swallow. It absolutely is. Absolutely is. All right, let's take a quick break here. When we come back, we're going to get to our shot of the night and what's the scoot. You can join in on the conversation, 503-248-0620. Charlie, I see that you're out there. Stay on hold. I'll grab you as soon as we get back from this network scheduled break right here on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620.
Did you get thick wool socks for Christmas?
It's a darn good sign your house is drafty.
Do you know your home's air leakage number?
For $179, Revival will lug over our Jet Revive 3000 blast fan,
Creating a suction in your home that will suck your socks off. Thermal cameras will pinpoint exactly where cold air is wisping up your walls.
Our proprietary heat loss calculator will give you your air leakage number.
Sealing up your drafts is your first step in home comfort.
Find out your air leakage number
Log on to callrevival.com.
and revive your home's comfort.
Here's Henderson. Slides it out to Kamara. Jab step. Now he drives. Kicks it back to Henderson. Henderson in the lane. Stops. Turns. Bounce pass to the corner for Kamara. Kamara along the baseline. Drives. Dunks it in. And with that, the McDonald's 100-point play has been activated. You can score free 6-piece chicken McNuggets tomorrow from your locally owned and operated McDonald's with any purchase of $2 or more. Be sure to download the McDonald's app now. Williams' three is good.
Welcome back in to the fifth quarter. Chris Burkhardt here. You can follow me on Twitter at Chris J. Burkhardt if you want to continue the conversation there. And of course, you can go on to youtube.com, type in Rip City Radio, join the conversation there. And you can dial up 503-248-0620. get in on the phone lines. It is time for What's the Scoot, though. And as I said earlier, Scoot Henderson, 17 points, 10 assists, 3 rebounds, and a steal. This was an unfortunate outcome for the team, but a much better performance from Scoot. A good little bounce back. He only had 7 points on Wednesday. He had 7 assists, but he also had 6 turnovers. So, you really need him to get those assist numbers where they are, keep them there, but you want those turnover numbers down. And so the fact that he got to the 10 assist number and then only had 1 turnover in the process, that's something that you really like to see. That's some efficiency with his ball control. And you want to see that in the long run from him. He's going to have his tough turnover nights, but a night like this I thought was really good. Now, keep in mind, I just don't think it's Scoot's game yet, and it may not ever be, for him to be the guy who just goes out there and drops 30 on your head, and defenses have to account for him in that aspect. But he's going to find ways to change the game. Now, if he has games like this consistently, if he is consistently a 17 and 10 guy, and then you have Ant chipping in his 20, you have Jeremy Grant chipping in his 20 plus, you have Shaden Sharp really getting to where he wants to go, then the offense should eventually get back to a spot where it wants to hum a little bit. So I really like this performance from him. The overall performance from the team was pretty bad. Defensively, which is something they've talked about being much improved this year, it is better than it has been in the past, but the last handful of games, it has been and looked like one of the worst in the league. So you got to fix that too. You can't hang your hat on we're so improved on defense or so improved on defense and then give up 260 points over the last 2 nights. Just can't do that. Absolutely can't. But for Scoot Henderson, I definitely thought it was a good game, a good bounce back game, and another one of those games that he can look at, and he's going to look at that film and continue to build off that a little bit. Now, if you want to join in on the conversation with me directly, you can grab your phone, 503-248-0620, where we head out to Vancouver right now, where Charlie has been waiting patiently. Charlie, the floor is yours.
Hey, ironically, I think Scoot in his best day will be a kind of not maybe as good a version of Chauncey was as a player, but the same type of player, like you said, not putting up 30 and that kind of thing, but just winning games because of the way he plays, his toughness and ability to have that winning attitude. But at 19, no team is going to win in the NBA. And unfortunately, I think it's going to, again, ironically, I think it's going to get Chauncey fired. Because if you ask Chauncey, I'm sure behind closed doors, hey, you want to play Brogdon or you want to play Simons? Of course you know the answer. We both do. And what's happened is the locker room is lost. When earlier in the year, when people were calling for his head, saying that they're not getting enough out of him, Chauncey was doing great. When those guys are trying hard, you are doing great as a coach. But when guys stop listening to you and it shows up at the defensive end before anything else, and it's a number of games in a row now, every player shot 50% for the other team, that's not one guy being hot. That's a bunch of guys looking around and saying, well, you don't care? Well, neither do I. You don't care? Well, neither do I. Because playing defense is the hardest thing in sports, in basketball. Absolutely 100%, not even close. You don't get any stats for it. All you do is you get wins. We had a huge sign out at Battleground that says, offense wins applause, defense wins games, bigger than any sign in the gym. And Butch Blue won games 26 years in a row because of that, over 200 as a coach. Anyway, my point again, I feel really bad for Chauncey because I think it's over. And unfortunately, I think it should be, because in professional sports, you have 2 options when this happens: get rid of the team or get rid of the coach. And what happens is guys like Simons and Brogdon are saying, dude, this guy's playing over me. This guy's going to play more minutes. And so you lose even your best players because he's being told by management, play this guy, play this guy, play this guy. And it's really sad. I feel bad for coaches when they're put in this situation. I hope Chauncey gets another chance sometime, because I think he's improving as an X and O coach, which, again, not being a head coach before then, learning in front of millions is tough. Learning in front of a high school crowd or a college crowd is a little bit easier. He's learning how to manage a game in front of everybody. But I think I saw 2 years ago, right before the All-Star game, when I pretty much stopped watching the team when they traded everybody, but they had won 5 in a row with Hart and the guy from Duke, who was actually a man and tough and played defense, and Nurk was playing well. And right before the trade deadline, that's when we sat down, everybody else. But he can get them playing that way, obviously, because when a group of guys who are tough and play defense listen to your coach, that's what happened, and they did. Unfortunately, that's not happening anymore.
All right, Charlie. Thanks for the call, and I got to make you come correct here. Not everybody on the other team shot over 50%. Okay, 2 guys shot like close to it, maybe a little bit less. Got to grab my calculator. I mean, Prosper was 3 of 7. That's below. That's below. Okay, Curry was only 4 of 9. That's below. Now everyone else did. So you're right. I'm joking with you, of course, because your point is completely correct. Completely correct. Derek Jones, 5 of 6, 10 of 18 from Kyrie Irving. Green was 7 of 8. Hardy was 8 of 14. I mean, everybody was shooting the ball well. Everybody. So you're right on there. With Chauncey, I don't know. I don't know if he's the guy or not, but I do get what you're saying. I mean, it's easy to lose a locker room. And I think the toughest part for a guy in Chauncey's role is just the fact of figuring out, not only do you have to learn how to convey your knowledge and your X's and O's to a team, which is tough enough, you have to figure out how to speak to this locker room and make it work every single time, right? So you have to figure out how to talk to them in the good times. You have to figure out how to talk to them in the bad times. You have to figure out to keep that locker room tight all the time. Because once you lose the locker room, that's the hardest thing to get back, right? And I'm not saying he has. I'm just saying in general, okay? Because if you go on a losing streak, you can bounce back, right? You can bounce back. If the defense is playing kind of bad, you can find ways to bounce back. But if you lose a locker room, it's almost impossible for a coach to get back from that. How many times have we seen a coach get back from that? I don't think you do. Because once you lose the locker room, it snowballs quickly and rolls right over you. Right over you. That's the tough part. That's the tough part. So I'm with you right there. Now, let's head back out to the phone lines. This guy said he was going to call me today, but I didn't think he was going to pull through because of how bad the game was. But it's the man, the boss man, Chad Doing on line 1. Chad, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, my man, of course. I said I was going to call. I'm going to call even if the Blazers were outscored 40-16 in the third quarter. I'm still trying to figure out what happened. That was a rough one tonight, because at halftime I thought, they're down 9. They were within striking distance, and they just couldn't keep up with that frantic pace that Dallas is playing with tonight.
Yeah, I think this is the worst loss than Wednesday for sure, to go out there and lose by 30 plus with a team that doesn't have Luka on the court. And you can't stop that offense? Yeah,
that was surprising. I think the part that was really strange to me is that it was just bizarre, because normally in the NBA when a team gets blown out and then you have a practice like they had yesterday, which was a hard practice, that's the way it was described to me. You would have expected them to put forth, a much more effective effort, but it never came to fruition. I honestly have no way to describe what happened in the third quarter. And Chauncey Billups didn't even have answers after the game tonight. So that was probably the most troubling part, is that what happened Wednesday, the hard practice yesterday, and then that third quarter tonight. It's really hard to, put that into words. Brutal.
Yeah, it is brutal. I think what's your take? I know you're big on this, but the defense they hung their hat on it for a while. And as I said earlier in the show, like you and I always talked about earlier in the season, like you knew this team was going to come out. They were going to fight. They were going to play hard. Even in a loss, they were fun to watch. Right now, they're not fun to watch, even in a loss. And that defense, which is still, air quotes, improved, has seemed to gone by the wayside.
Yeah, that's probably the most troubling part. I guess my best way to describe it is, one, you have, NBA teams go through patches of great play, patches of, poor play where they regress in certain areas. So I think that's part of it. I think also it could be, fatigue on some level. And I think, probably the biggest thing, at least if I was coaching the team, the biggest frustrating point for me would be the lack of continuity, where, you've had so many guys in and out of the lineup to where it's been hard to have the consistent, rotation and lineup of guys. So I think all of that contributes to the issues that we're seeing right now, defensively. And, my guess would be is that they'll probably hit another patch here where we'll see, better energy and better effort, defensively, to where they can string together some better defensive performances. But, even Chauncey Billups, tonight after the game, which is something you never hear coaches really do. He said himself he didn't like, the effort level of the team tonight. So it's pretty. That's pretty telling when a coach comes out and says that himself.
Yeah, it is pretty telling for sure. When you and I have talked about that, Chauncey doesn't like to. He doesn't really mince words when he goes into the press conference. He says exactly what he needs to say, doesn't hold back, and yeah, it's troubling when you hear that. But on the bright side, Chad, let's talk bright side here, because the game may have not been good, but I thought a 17-point, 10-assist rebound performance from Scoot Henderson was pretty nice to see.
I'm really impressed with what he's been doing the last couple of weeks. I think he had 7 points in the first quarter, came out aggressive, had a nice finish where he was able to attack the rim and finish on a reverse. We saw some good two-man game between him and Reef throughout the course of the game. He seems a lot more sure of himself in terms of where he wants to get to, and we're noticing now on it, you can see it with his offense on his shot, especially the three-point shot, where he's, able to create, a little bit better on the pull-up shots off the bounce. So, he's just slowly coming together before our eyes, and it's been really nice to see. But I like a lot from what I see from him. And then defensively, the willingness to get back after a made basket and use his physicality to get after it defensively. I really like what I see from him. But most importantly, you and I have talked about this, it's just the attitude, the work, and the willingness to listen to coaches, study film, and work hard in practice to continue to make those strides that we're seeing right now.
Yeah, all right. Before I let you go, I know you've talked about it with the Godfather, but I gotta listen and get your opinion here. Big game coming up on Monday. It is probably the very last game Jim Harbaugh coaches before it's announced that he's the new head coach of the Los Angeles Chargers. But he gets to take on the Washington Huskies. How you feeling about what people aren't talking about this enough, that this is basically an all Big Ten national championships? The people are still leaning on the Pac-12, but no, this is the Big Ten national championship here. Who you got, Michigan or the Huskies?
Well, it's a great question. I can't wait for the game. I really believe after the entire season, these are the two best teams in college football. So I think that's great. The part that's amazing to me is that, and you can probably speak to this because you're a Duck fan, but I've had a number of Duck fans reach out to me and express their bitterness because Washington is on the verge of getting their second national championship, and Phil Knight's poured in basically $1 billion into the university, and the Ducks don't have one yet. So I know Duck fans are tormented right now. I loved Washington against Texas because of the matchup. I don't think that Washington matches up with Michigan particularly well because of Michigan's ability to run the ball, control the clock, and, of course, their linebackers, which are hybrid and can move, and their secondary, which is going to be the best they've seen all season long. So it's going to be a tough matchup for Washington. But on the flip side, the quarterback and the receivers are something that Michigan has never seen. I think Michigan has more material to work with here. I'm pulling for Washington because I like Michael Penix, and I think their coach, Kalen DeBoer, is terrific. So I'm going to pull for Washington and hope they can get it done. I think it's going to be a close ball game. I hope Washington finds a way to get it done, but material-wise, I think Michigan's got just a little bit more to work with. That's a tough matchup for Washington.
Yeah, it is tough for me as a Duck fan, Chad, because you're bred to hate the Huskies, but I find this to be perhaps one of the most likable Husky teams that I've ever watched. Like, how can you not like Penix? How can you not watch Roma Dunes and like that guy? How can you not like Kalen DeBoer, who just wins? Like, it's a likable team, which pains me.
Yeah, Kalen DeBoer is fascinating because no one liked the hire when it happened. No one really knew who he was, and now that you've seen him in operation, the guy is just absolutely one of the best coaches in the country, just as good as drawing up X's and O's and preparing his team as Jim Harbaugh. It's just that people don't quite know who he is yet, but the amazing part is that they just find a way to get it done. They haven't lost a game since last October. That game was at Arizona State. I was at that game. It's the last time they've lost. They've ripped off every single game since last October, which is amazing. So I love their grittiness. I think Penix is a great leader, and obviously he delivers the football on time and on target from the pocket. So he's very easy to root for. In fact, I would say both Bo Nix and Michael Penix, to put together back-to-back years like they did at Oregon and Washington after transferring from Indiana and Auburn is one of the great portal stories you're ever going to see in college football, and those are the type of guys you want to root for because of what the adversity they've gone through to get to where they're at.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, are we going to are we going to meet up for breakfast on Sunday, or are we just going to come in?
I think we should meet up at Denny's at like 3 a.m. and then just stroll into the station from there, man, because those 12 o'clock matinee-style tips, they're all fine and dandy, but, we've got to start early on a Sunday at 9:30, so I'll be ready, man. Let's grab a little, moons over my hammy and hit the studio.
That's right. I need that Grand Slam breakfast to get me going. All right, Chad. Thanks for calling in. I will see you Sunday, buddy.
Sounds good, brother.
All right, there is the man, Chad Doing. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll hit you with the fifth quarter scoreboard. Get you up to date on all the scores that happen around the NBA. If you want to join in on the conversation, 503-248-0620. If you're on hold, stay there. I'll grab you when we get back from this break. Chris Burkhardt here on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620. All right, let's get you up to date on some scores around the NBA. First off, end of the third quarter in Golden State, the Pistons 75, Warriors 79. Former Blazer Kevin Knox leading the way with 15 points for the Pistons. 5 minutes left in the third quarter in Los Angeles. The Grizzlies 78, Lakers 81. Jaren Jackson Jr. 21 points, 9 rebounds, 3 blocks for Memphis. LeBron doing LeBron things has chipped in 26. In Sacramento, where it appears the Raptors and Kings might already be done talking about a possible Pascal Siakam trade, the Kings have the 102-88 lead with 2 minutes left in the third. Pascal Siakam, speaking of which, leading the way with 14.7 assists for the Raptors. Domantas Sabonis, 16 points, 11 rebounds, 9 assists, almost a three-quarter triple-double. Couple final scores for you here in Boston. The Celtics won 126-97 over the Jazz. Jason Tatum led the way with 30 points and 9 rebounds. The Indiana Pacers grabbed the 150-116 win over the Atlanta Hawks. Tyrese Halliburton had 10 points, 8 boards, and 18 assists. He continues to dish the ball like crazy lately. In Brooklyn, the Oklahoma City continue their little mini stumble here as they fall to the Nets 124-115. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, 34 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists. Nick Claxton led the Nets with 23 points and 13 boards. In Cleveland, the Cavs win 114-90 over the Wizards. Donovan Mitchell led the way with 26 points for the Cavs. The Knicks grabbed the 128-92 victory over the 76ers in Philly. Jalen Brunson had 29 points for the Knicks, and Tyrese Maxey had 27 and 9 for the 76ers. In Chicago, The Bulls grab a 104-91 victory over the Hornets. Kobe White had 22, 10, and 6. Miles Bridges had 28 points for the Hornets. In Houston, the Timberwolves win 122-95 over the Rockets. Karl Anthony Towns with a 22.8 rebound, 6 assist performance to lead one of the best teams in the league. The Clippers 111, the Pelicans 95 down in New Orleans. Paul George had 24 and 7. Jonas Valanciunas 13 and 11 for the Pelicans. In Denver, off the back of that crazy victory over the Warriors last night, the Nuggets fall 122-120 to the Magic. Paulo Banchero 32 points, 10 rebounds, 11 assists. And the Phoenix Suns win 113-97 over the Miami Heat. Bam Adebayo had 28 and 11. Grayson Allen, what? Got to click that. Is that true? It is. Grayson Allen with a 31-point performance to lead the Suns. That's not something you see every day. And then, of course, the Dallas Mavericks grab a 139-103 victory over your Portland Trailblazers. Kyrie Irving leading the way with 24 points and 9 boards for the Mavs. Scoot Henderson, a 17-point, 10-assist double-double, the fourth double-double of his young career. You do love to see that. Chris Burkhardt here filling in for Chad Doing. You can follow me on Twitter at Chris J. Burkhardt. If you want to join the chat, you can do so over on YouTube.com. Type in Rip City Radio. We'll pop right up. You can also call in 503-248-0620 where we head out to Longview. I'm sure you guys have missed this one. We haven't heard from Len in a while. Len, how we doing?
Hello?
Yeah, we got you.
Okay, I've been on the wait for about 20 minutes here.
Oh, it wasn't that long, but it was a little bit. We had to go to break and all that.
Well, I got my watch here, and it's been about 21 minutes, but anyway, how are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Pretty damn good. How are you?
I'm great.
Good. So now, are you new here?
Oh no, I've been around for a minute now. Not 21 minutes, but a minute.
Because I usually talk to the one guy, and he kind of yells at me a little bit because he knows it's loud in here.
I could be louder, but I don't want to blow out everyone else's ears too. You got to step outside is what you got to do.
Oh, well, no. There's people that'll take your wallet out there. And I got a little few bucks in there. I like to carry some cash, and they
don't let them know
so
they're listening.
How'd they do today?
They did not do very well at all.
Stinker on that.
Absolutely.
Did they just lay a stinker?
Oh, they tried. It looked like it was going to be good, and then the second half happened, and they laid the stinker of all stinkers.
Oh, well, how'd Chief look tonight?
I think Chief looked pretty good.
Good, yeah. Yeah, he's a good player. They're lucky to have him because he's going to help them not look bad, and then when they look good, he helps them look good.
That's what I love about him.
Yeah, that's why I like Chief. He's the best thing they got. The best thing. Hey, how you doing? Yeah. Yep.
Hey.
Yeah, just wait a minute. I'll be done here in a minute.
Yeah, you got to tell him you got to pay attention to me, Len.
I'll be done here in a minute. So, but the Chief is the best thing they got going. You know that?
I think so. I think you're onto something.
Yeah. So, who's your favorite player on there?
Oh, my favorite player on there? I don't know. Right now I like I like Scoot. I think the young guy's bringing it.
Who?
Scoot Henderson. He's the young chief in waiting.
Oh, I didn't know who that is. I did never know who that is. I don't follow him that close. Okay, call a lawyer and sue me for that. I know. I don't follow him that close, so I don't know everybody's name. That's why I call and ask.
Are you telling me that that bar doesn't have Root Sports? Is that what you're telling me?
Well, yeah, they put the games on, but if the waitress likes someone else more than they like you, then that person gets the game on. Or if it's someone else, then they get some, dumb TV show up there.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
And tonight, the one that likes me the most, well, there's two, but the one that the one that likes me the most is not working today.
Uh-oh.
What do you mean, uh-oh? She's not in trouble.
No, if the one that likes you the most ain't working the day, that means that maybe the drinks aren't as strong as they normally are.
No, she don't make the drinks. She just retrieves them.
Oh, okay.
And I tip very well, by the way.
That's good.
So, yeah, all right. Well, I'm going to go. Someone needs me here.
I could tell. They were yelling at you in the middle of you talking.
And I don't want to say anything. I don't want to say.
Hey, just go tell them Chief had a good game. That's all they need to know.
Okay, good. That's all I care about. You have a good night, okay? What's your name?
This is Chris.
Chris?
Yep.
Without a C or a K?
Oh, it's with the C.
Okay. Does it have one S or two?
It only has one.
So C. C-R-I-S.
Sure, if that's how you want to spell it, that works for me.
Okay. Have a good night there, fella.
All right, you too, buddy. there was the legendary Len in Longview. I tell you, man, Chad knows how to find these callers. That is something else. We're going to take our final break of the show, though, because we got things to do, like go to bed and, wake up and count the hours until Sunday hits when Chad and I get to go have Grand Slam breakfasts. Chris Burkhardt here in your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio. Coach's Corner coming up next.
Well, I can't say never, but rarely this year have I sat up here and just been disappointed in our effort. You know, our effort was poor. It was lousy all game. Starters got us off to a bad start with that, and then it was just tough. It was just tough. So really just disappointed, to be honest with you, with the effort.
What do you think that happened given that you felt pretty positive about the practice session?
Yeah, I can't. I don't know why that happened. It's kind of strange. It's kind of weird, to be honest with you, because we did. You know, we had a pretty spirited, good practice yesterday, and you know, we've had many games where we just don't make shots, or we turn it over, or we this, or we that. But not really. It's not really a real effort thing, you know. I knew that they would play so much faster today without Luka, because when he doesn't play, I mean, they play fast. They just run and gun and play fast. But we talked about it, you know, we was prepared for it. And it was like it kind of threw us off a little bit. But no matter how most teams play, it never kills our fight, you know, and our spirit. So that's the disappointing part. Not that we lost or got blown out. Of course, that sucks, but just the lack of resistance is always going to be my issue.
You said before the game that with Luka out, it's always those other guys.
Yeah.
Those other guys with Green, Jones, Hardy, and Hardaway shot like 67% combined.
Yeah.
Did you guys just not take that lesson hard and just not do it?
I'm telling you, it's crazy. We talk about it, you know. Of course, if there's anything that I talk to y'all about, I'm gonna talk to my team about, you know, times 10. So we talked about it. I thought we were prepared for it, but obviously we weren't, man. We weren't. So I gotta be better about preparing us for those type of situations, and we all just have to be better. I have to be better. They have to be better. You know, we just all got to be better, man.
Has this team hit a wall at all with, you know, again, no excuses, you always say, but the injuries, the changes in lineups, the losing, at some point a team does hit a wall. You got to see it hit.
I think the lack of continuity has been hurtful to us. We lose so many players at times, but then when we get guys back, it throws rhythms off, and I just don't know. I can't put my finger on it, but you know, we leave Phoenix, and obviously we lost that game, but man, we fought so hard. That game, we just literally couldn't make shots, but man, we fought hard as heck. And these last two have been, the effort has been a little disappointing, so I can't really put my finger on it, but we'll figure it out.
All right, there you hear from Coach Billups. Definitely disappointed. And I think rightfully so. I think it makes sense, right? You're going to be a little bit disappointed when your team comes out like that and just kind of gets dominated in that entire second half, gets dominated early. I talked about, you know, a little bit of a lack of fight. You know, I get that. I would want that as a coach myself. So I understand where he's upset, but at the same time, I think that's his job. I think you got to figure out those things. And at this point in year 3, I would hope that you have to figure those out. You know those things. And you don't have to go and say, oh, I got to do better. I got to do this. I got to do that. Like, do you know how to do it or not? I feel like you should be able to go in and do it. But hey, coaching's hard. I'm not dogging it too bad because I would be lost in a lot of those situations as well. But yeah, to say, you know, we know they play different when Kyrie's in the lineup and Luka's not like that. And so we were prepared for it. But then the very next sentence, it caught us off guard. Did it catch you off guard, or were you prepared for it? One or the other. And if it caught you off guard, I don't think you were prepared for it, at least not as prepared as you thought you were. And so you have to adjust a little bit and figure out how to tackle that the true way that you want. All right, that's going to do it for the show tonight. It's been a good one. You guys have been wonderful. Call-ins have been great. Phoners have been great. But sometimes you just got to go. We got to go rest, right? Go home. Enjoy the fact that it's 9 o'clock and you got the rest of your night left, and you can just go snooze, have a nice, good Saturday, and then hope that Sunday afternoon for you, morning for us, because we'll be right back here 9:30 in the morning on Sunday, me and Chad getting you ready for game day. We're going to bring the energy. I hope you in the chat and on the phones bring the energy, and I hope that the Blazers bring the energy as well, man. We're going to get through this. It's just a little bit of a bump in the road. Chris Burkhardt Been here filling in for Chad Doing, for my producer Mike Shacker in the back. You've been wonderful. Thank you so much. Rip City, we'll see you on Sunday.